Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of All Four Downs podcast. I'm Ovi1. With a special guest I have is Hector V, who is also the host of the HHW Show podcast that's happening every Wednesday on behalf of the CMG Sports Network. Hector, thank you for joining me. I know Joe, he's a sub for Joe, who couldn't make it with other obligations. And listen, we just finished tuning in to the college football rankings. We're going to review that momentarily. But because Joe wasn't here, I threw the ball to him. He was nowhere to be found. And there's a penalty here. And me and Hector, I was trying to figure out the name of this penalty. And Hector's here is trying to play charades and Pictionary with me. Okay. So, and then we finally figured it out. Duh. Ding. It's intentional grounding. Okay. I try to throw a pass to Joe, and Joe is like on the other side of the field. Who then later tell me, hey, by the way, I can't make it. Sorry, man. Uh, because I was ready for this debate with him of our
Right,
top four. Okay.
right,
But
okay.
I guess I'm gonna have to wait until next week because the rankings will come out before the conference championships. Okay. So we're going to definitely start with first down. And then
Mhm.
there's intentional grounding. So guess what? I gotta loss it down. All right. I gotta
Hey,
loss it down.
at least it wasn't my fault for getting the penalty with 12 too many men on the field, so
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, right? And that's my look right now. I was like, what? So that's me on the left. That's Joe on the right. Okay.
Oh
And
my
so, like, we're
god.
not in sync right now, but we will. We will. But speaking about being in sync, let's see if I am in sync here in week 13 on the college football playoff rankings. And I'm going to compare with the actual top 25 of the committee with my own. And we
Right.
start with 21 to 25. I have SMU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Toledo, and UTSA. Now, this is the first time that the committee has placed Liberty at 11-0, a team that's in the college, in the Conference USA. And
Mhm.
finally, during the top 25. I'm really like dumbfounded on this. Okay.
Right, right.
Next, for the first time, they put Clemson in there with a four-loss team, but they're not the only four-loss team. Okay. And I'm still mind-boggling. It's like, why are we doing a fill-in of the powerhouses, knowing that other schools really deserve to be in the top 25, such as Toledo? So again, it's just confusing. Oklahoma State 8-3. I kind of understand why they're there. Okay, UTSA. Hello, UTSA is undefeated in the American Conference, and they got a shot to clinch their way into the American Conference Championship. Okay, we're going to discuss that game later on when we're doing our picks. All right. But they got Tulane at 23. I believe Tulane should be ranked higher. And then they got NC State out of nowhere. NC State hasn't shown me that they're the best top 25 team in the nation, but they're there.
Right.
Their resume doesn't speak to me. The ACC itself does not speak to me as one of the powerhouses that's deserving to be in the top 25. So that's my rank right now. Okay. Moving on to 16 to 20. I have Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Liberty, Iowa, Oregon State. Now, in that window, Oregon State is on there.
Mhm.
Iowa is on there. Notre Dame is on there. I have Kansas State in the lower rankings and Oklahoma State. Okay. But I get it. I mean, Big 12 is doing some goodness, but at the same time, they're not as good as the Pac 12.
Right.
That's my opinion. Okay. So we're kind of close there. I'm still shocked that they put Liberty in the top 25, but they deserve to be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I know if I had this conversation with you off the air, about Liberty is like, let's start putting some respect behind these guys. They don't
Mhm.
make the schedules. Okay. These teams don't come up with the schedules. And it's like, they're giving what they got and they're doing what they have. to do what they have. So
And for Liberty to be last year independent,
right.
and for the first time they're in the Conference USA,
Mm-hmm.
and they're winning games in that
Big time.
conference,
Right.
speaks volume. Okay.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
but when you say they don't make the schedule, technically they know the
Well,
schedule 4 or 5 years out. You know what I mean?
but they're going ahead and doing what they're supposed to be doing with the schedule because, it's like to me, Liberty is going to get some flack regardless. If they don't win, oh, they're not as good as we thought they are. They're 11 and
Right.
0. Well, they could do better. It's like, what more do you want from them? They're not any big team from SEC, like that. So it's like, give them some respect. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because if they weren't, we'd be saying, oh, they are who they are. No, come
Right.
on, man.
It's just like James Madison probably missed the list. They
Right.
come up with a loss against Appalachian State, right? But all of a sudden, out of that one loss, they're not good enough to be in the top 25. Yet
Right.
alone, the NCAA don't want to put them in the bowl games.
They
I
look to
mean,
me, they find every little reason to keep somebody out.
right, man. I mean, these are students. They're kids still, for crying out loud. All right, moving 11 to 15. I got Arizona at 11. I mean, look, it's unprecedented that the way they started the season, right? And to win 3 straight ranked opponents above them and convincing fashion is like a wake-up call. To turn on the switch, and now they're just swinging away. And they're most deserved. I got Louisville at 12, but the committee has them in the top 10. I feel like they're doing that to add a better resume for Florida State once they play in the ACC Conference Championship. I do have Tulane there, LSU, and Penn State. And looking over there, they bumped. Oh, they got Oklahoma there at 9 and 2. But out of this list, Arizona, LSU. I mean, I don't know. Let me see where I
Yeah,
put Ole Miss and Penn State. Look at Penn State at number 15.
to me, I'm sorry, but I think you giving Arizona a little too much love, in my opinion, on that one. Because they did lose a non-conference game this year to Mississippi State, I believe it was.
But
I don't know.
I bet you if you play them, and again, the resume, right?
Yeah,
How are they playing right now? Like, if you want to go back to week 1 and week 2 and stuff like that, I get it. There's
right.
like people are trying to get comfortable back in the groove of things,
Yeah,
competing. But now this is where you want that action to be, right? Like right now, convincingly.
yeah.
How are
Okay.
they looking now?
Well, they did
Right?
win 5. They have won 5 in a row, so I give you that. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
but they playing ranked teams, but I can't say the same with what team did you mention?
As far as
You said Arizona lost to who?
they lost to 2 ranked teams back to back, but they lost a non-conference game early
Right,
in the year.
exactly. Yes, you're right. I
Yeah,
totally understand.
yeah,
And to answer that question, right, they lost to Mississippi State.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
got it.
right.
It was week 2. They come out of playing a team like North Arizona. All
Yeah,
right. But yeah, they lost to their conference, Washington, USC. But then they turn around to beat Washington State. Well, now they're out of the top 25. But they beat Oregon State. And then
yeah.
they beat UCLA.
UCLA, yep, and
They
then
beat
Utah.
Colorado. And then
Mhm.
now they beat Utah. They defeated Utah 42-18. Now,
Yeah.
that's a signature block right there. Okay. But you're right. Maybe I have them a little bit too high.
Well,
But they're on the roll.
that USC game was a good game, triple overtime, 43-41, I believe it was.
Mhm.
That was, that could have gone either way.
Right. So let's look at here at 7 to 10. Now over here, they did it something different this time. They added number 6 to this list
Right.
because Oregon has that one loss. So they wanted to focus just the undefeated teams. I
Right,
got it.
right.
But I got Texas, Alabama, Mizzou, and Ole Miss. I'm looking at on their side, same thing. I got the same rankings from 6 through 10. I really do. Let's move on to the rest of the rankings. On the left, they have Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and they switch Washington at number 4, and they have number 5, Florida State. I like that. Okay, now on my picks, I have Georgia and Washington as the top 2. Why? Because Washington has a better resume than any of the schools, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, because look, I'm just sick of when they come up with excuses about, oh, it's the resume. Okay, let's check out the resume. They beat Boise State convincingly. They beat Tulsa. All right. They beat Michigan State. We're talking about 3 different conferences outside of Pac-12. Okay.
Correct.
And that Michigan State was good by week 3
And
until that the head coach got fired.
they blew them out the water too. Yeah.
Right. Then they played their own conference. They blew out California.
Mm-hmm.
They defeated Arizona by a touchdown.
Right.
They beat Oregon, a ranked opponent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they went ahead. They had a flaw with Arizona State 15-7. They
Right.
beat Stanford. Then the next 3 games are ranked games. And this is what under the committee: USC, Utah, Oregon State.
And 2 of them
See
were
what I'm
on the
saying?
road. Yeah, 2 of them was on
Right,
the
2
road.
on the road, and all 3 were ranked opponents.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So based on that right there, they deserve. Now the ESPN college football commentators and stuff like that, their host, when I'm not mentioning their names, are trying to convince you that because the Florida State quarterback, that the injury has influence. The head committee said it was not based on that. It was based that they did beat Oregon State. Okay. That gave them a push because Florida State, let's be honest, their schedule is nothing compared to Washington.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, like you said, winning three in a row as far as ranked teams. I mean, you can't overlook that. You know, and Florida State. I mean, I'm sorry, Florida. They just barely. They coming off a game against a team called North Alabama. I mean, come on.
Right, North Alabama, which they were down by 2 touchdowns, maybe a little bit more before they scored. I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, they were down 13-0.
Yeah.
By the time they scored 58 unanswered points.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? So, listen, you're supposed to shut them out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to lose to a team like that. Okay, and then, let's not mention Miami is not that good. But you win 27-20. How convincing is that?
Right.
Pittsburgh 24-7. Wake Forest. Oh yeah, they beat Wake Forest. They beat Duke. Okay, but Duke is out of the top 25. And any other opponent, you only go back to week 1 against LSU. And that's the only team that is ranked is LSU in that schedule. So when you look at the resume, you look at the strength of schedule, Washington deserves it more. As a matter of fact, Washington deserves it more than Michigan and Ohio State because they play mediocre teams. That's what I don't understand. The only ranked opponents, who they play. Okay, you want to talk about Notre Dame. Okay, yeah, Ohio State beat Notre Dame. That was a great game. Absolutely. Okay, but is that all you're based on? We already know that you're going to beat Penn State. Michigan did too.
Yep.
But Penn State's always the 3rd best team in the Big Ten. That's why you have to call USC and UCLA to join the Big Ten. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I kept saying this last week. It's like there's nothing good in the Big Ten except for Michigan and Ohio State.
That's it. It's always
Where's the other competition? Look at the schedule. Don't tell me that Ohio State has one of the hardest schedule in there because they're not.
Yeah.
That's why it's mind-boggling right now when you mention that. Georgia last week switched from 2 to number 1 because they won 3 straight opponents as well, ranked opponents. And that's why you should do the same for Washington, and the committee did. But I think they should have been higher. That's my opinion. But the top 4 is just how I have it anyway, okay? Florida State is out looking in, and the 4, and be honest with you, really, when you make the top 4, you got 4 number 1 teams going at it. Because they're the ones that's going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and then we know that hopefully something's going to cancel between Michigan and Ohio State.
So watch this. You talking about canceling. Now, there's a lot of scenarios, but let's suppose, and I'm going to ask you this, hypothetically, should Michigan win this Saturday?
Right.
Where does Ohio State rank then? Do they remain in the top 4? Or do they get eliminated out of the college football playoffs?
I feel like what they're going to do is keep Ohio State in there if Michigan wins. I feel like Michigan is the one that's going to be bumped out if they lose. If Ohio State loses, they're going to find a way of keeping them in there even over a Washington team who is undefeated, because
So
Washington is finishing
Michigan really
undefeated.
has to blow out Ohio State
I
for
think
them to
so.
get out.
I
If
think
it's a
so.
close game,
Yes,
you
yes.
think that they're going to stay there.
Yep, and I don't like it. I do not like it. I do not agree with it, but that's
Mhm.
how their mindset is. And that screws Washington over to me, in my opinion. Makes no
Well,
sense. And Florida State too if they win. It makes no sense.
no, right. But you know what though? Being that all five are undefeated, should Ohio State be the only one with a loss? I think they'll be out. I think they'll be at number 5, and that allows Florida State to be in the top 4. Should Florida State beat Florida? That's not an easy opponent to beat anyway, right? So that's not a guaranteed win for Florida State. But if that was to happen, I think that if Ohio State loses, they need help like either Washington or Florida State to lose also this Saturday.
I agree with you. To me, it should be about your record.
Hmm.
But to me, this whole eye test thing, well, just because they got a loss doesn't mean that they're worse off. They still probably better than Florida. That's their mindset. And I do not
Hmm.
like it as a fan. If you're
Right.
undefeated, you should outrank a team with one loss. I don't care how good that loss was. A loss is a loss. You cannot get the job done. You do not deserve to be in the playoff picture if you got an undefeated team sitting there at number 5. That's, to
Right.
me, it's just simple math.
It sounds simple, but it's not simple
I
for
I
others
know.
to see. I
For
know.
that for
Right.
that, we might as well go to the NFL and say, well, you know what? We'll give Detroit 8-2, the number 1 seed, because the eye test looks to me that they're better than the Eagles, who are 9-1. It's just the common sense part is out the window when it comes to college football.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't get
yeah,
it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, you're preaching to the choir, man.
Throw the flag.
Um, look, I already got a penalty to start the show. All right. But here's another scenario for you right here, and this is from ESPN today, and this is the chaos scenario that can happen in the SEC championship. Alabama defeats Georgia. Michigan defeats Ohio State, then wins the Big Ten championship. Then you got Florida State, Texas, and Oregon all win conference championships. Who takes number 4?
Georgia.
That's what I said. I mean, if Georgia's number 1, I've not seen a number 1 team. I'll probably the first year of the college football when they had Mississippi State, and when they lost, they got booted because that first week they lost the game. Out. There you go. All right. But here right now, the way Georgia is playing, should they lose the SEC championship, I still feel like they'll drop to number 4 and still go for the college football to become 3-time. I was gonna say Super Bowl, but no, 3-time national championship. I do believe that.
I mean, it has to be a natural disaster of a blowout for Alabama to really push Georgia out of the top 4. You
Right.
talking about a catastrophic 42-0 blowout win for Georgia not to even
I
exist.
think injuries will have to play for
Something,
Georgia.
something.
Bowers gets another leg injury. Um, Beck gets hurt. They got like the backup quarterback we never heard of, and the defensive line pretty much just fell short. And you know what I mean? It's got to be that dramatic.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
and you're talking about the two-time defending champions in college football. You're not going to just bump them out because they lost to Alabama. So
right.
it's just that they like to give people brain aneurysms with this kind of scenario. So they just come with this what if scenarios. You know what?
Right.
Y'all already causing enough chaos for us fans. Don't bring this up. Let it all play out first, and let them do we figure it out from there. Oh Lord.
All right, it's time for sports betting right now. College football, week 13, and this is the last game of the regular season. I can't believe it went by this fast. Okay, but we start off with the Thursday game, the only game here, and that is Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. Ole Miss is favored 10 points. The over/under is 55.5. Listen, Mississippi State already fired their head coach. I mean, they're going nowhere. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, Zach Arnett got fired. They got a backup head coach. I don't know how if Rodgers, the quarterback, is going to play, because they've been getting blown out. Okay, they lost
Right.
3 SEC games, and I just don't see Mississippi State doing something spectacular to upset Ole Miss. So I am taking Ole Miss with the -10 points for the win.
I agree. I take that. I take Ole
All
Miss to
right.
win that game.
Now we're going to Friday's game. Now, this is very, very important. This game is in Tulane.
Mhm.
UTSA goes on the road to Tulane for the winner will clinch a spot in the American Conference Championship. Okay. UTSA is 8-3, but those 3 losses were outside the conference. Both these teams are 7-0. Okay. And some similarities. Well, the 3 losses. UTSA lost to Houston in week 1. They lost to Army. That's a legit win, a legit loss. And then they lost to Tennessee, an SEC team.
Right.
Okay. Tulane, they lost to Ole Miss. That's it. That was the only hard game outside the conference. Now, similarities, both these teams played North Texas. Both these teams won. Tulane won 35-28. UTSA won 37-29. So there's like so close, okay, when it comes to compare these, that I feel like if I'm taking this game, I'm taking UTSA with the 3.5 points. I believe the winner is going to win by a field goal.
Hmm. I think it
Okay.
did. I think it did open up at 1.5, I believe, or something like that.
Mm,
Before
that's
before it actually, opened up a little bit higher for Tulane. I think they're seeing something,
mm,
with the I don't know what they call the golden wave or whatever they are, the
mm.
waves, whatever. So I like Tulane and give me the 3.5 on that. I don't
You
think I
taking 3.5 on Tulane?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Here's the only history that they have with each other is back in 2013. They did play in San Antonio, and UTSA won 10-7.
Wow, that was a good game.
I am taking the under on this one. I believe it's going to be under 51 points. I do believe that.
Yeah,
It's going to be an awesome game. Now, watch this. Should Tulane win, okay, that eliminates UTSA out of the picture, and they will play SMU. Now, if UTSA wins, then SMU has to win their game this Saturday, because if SMU loses, we're going to see a rematch with these 2 teams.
right. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And SMU has not played neither of these 2 teams. That's why I don't like the standings all in one list. I really don't.
Right.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I
All
like it
right.
broken up.
Yes, it has some divisions in there.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. Also going on Friday is the Civil War. The winner wins the Platypus Trophy, and that is Oregon versus Oregon State. Um,
You
I'm
know,
going for Oregon.
hold on. Can somebody explain to me how a duck and a beaver get a play for a platypus?
No, no.
I mean, is this some kind of National Geographic thing that they creating up
Mm.
there up west?
I don't know, but it sounds like a wife trophy or something that you take it and you got to handle your business. But hey, I don't know, man. I mean, you look at that trophy there; it looked like a seal,
Yeah, a seal
right?
that
The beaver has to construct the perimeter, right? The duck needs to swim and have a partner. That's the only way I see it. You're right. National Geographic, it is.
I don't know. Yeah, this is there's some crazy National Geographic stuff. But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just they just threw me off with 3 different
Mm.
animals in the Civil War here.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I have a feeling that Oregon's going to win this game.
Right.
The thing is they're not blowing out Oregon State.
Oh no.
I am taking the 13.5 points for Oregon State in this game. The last 3 times these guys played, the last 3 matches were
Mhm.
all 3 less than 13 points. This is competitive. I want to see Bo Nix in action, and I want to see DJ Ugalele in action as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say give me over 62.5 here. I think this is going to be a high scoring game.
I
I
love
know,
it. I
I
love it.
I know Oregon's offense is just elite, so they're gonna put up the points, but it's never.
Oregon State's not going to be quiet.
No, they're not. They're
No.
beavers. They're beavers. They'll build a dam and they'll figure out how to put some points up. And I take the over 62.5.
All right. Michigan and Ohio State, the rivalry goes for over 125 years or so. And man, I just got mixed emotions on both these games. I really do. Because at the beginning, I said, you know what? Michigan got this.
Right.
And then after I watched the last two games of Michigan on TV, and I said to myself, yo, all they do is run. Their quarterback is suspect. Uh, they don't throw the ball much. They almost look like Army football, Army versus Navy, that type of deal.
Right.
Okay. But Ohio State's not even that better either. Both these teams are ranked 1 and 2 in defense, and that's still questionable because of the teams that they play. Okay. But this game is at Michigan. But then again, Harbaugh is not coaching. And now how much play, and I feel like it is the truth that Michigan is cheating, right, with the spy stuff and everything, because they accepted the penalty. They accepted the suspension. All right. How much do they know about Ohio State going into this game? And can they stop the run game? If it's a run game all the way, Michigan has that advantage. But if we're start throwing it up, I don't think Michigan's been battle tested in the air, and it was shown versus Maryland, because if Maryland didn't make that much mistakes, Maryland could have beat Michigan. So I'm at a loss here. Right now, Michigan's favored at 3 points. The over-under is 46.5. I would take under 46.5 in this game.
I will definitely take the under 46.5. I think both these teams' defenses are elite, top 10 in college football, especially when it comes to the pass and the run. I don't see much offense going in this game. It could be probably a slow game to where it be kind of a sleeper or snoozer in the beginning. You know, we may not see something cook off until, after halftime, honestly, you know. But honestly, if Michigan does know anything about Ohio State, hell, they've been playing for over 125 years.
Yeah, but we were at a point that Harbaugh couldn't even beat them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. But
that was that narrative.
I think Ohio State wins this game, though.
You think Ohio State wins this game?
I don't like them, but I think they beat the Wolverines.
Wow. I'm going to pick Michigan. And last year, Michigan was able to shut down Ohio State and limit them to only 3 points.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they were losing by they were losing by 3 at half. Then they came back and scored 28 points in the second half, and they won. And it was a lot of turnovers from Ohio State. I don't trust neither offense, and that's why I'm taking 46.5 and under.
Yeah, definitely.
But I still don't see them like that caliber of the college football playoffs. I really don't, but someone's got to go.
Yes.
Okay. I take Michigan, but I'm not in DraftKings. I'm just taking the under. I'm not picking the winner.
Right. I hear you.
Right. I'm trying to stay safe.
That is a safe bet. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Another rivalry, the Governor's Cup between Louisville and Kentucky. Kentucky's won 4 straight. However, they've been on a losing streak. But this is a rivalry, and a lot of people, if Joe was here, he'd be like, look, this is a basketball team, right? And it probably is right. But this is very important because Louisville's in the top 10. And I feel this is going to be an upset. I am taking Kentucky to win straight up.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I'm taking Louisville to win this game. But you're right. Joe may have a point there. With these colleges who are just known for one sport, it's evolved over the years. With the recruiting and the talent that they bring it in, a lot of these colleges are becoming 2 sports colleges. And even though it's hard to see Kentucky or Louisville as a football team, we're gonna have to start recognizing that that's who they are now.
Right.
And not just look at them as basketball teams. Like you said, Louisville's in the top 10. They only got 1 loss this year, and Kentucky makes their noises, So
I think the pressure for Louisville being in the top 10 is going to get to them. And that's why, look, when they were first introduced in the top 25, they immediately lost the game. Okay. And now the pressure's on because they have to win to keep Florida State legit. So if they lose, then it doesn't really matter what happens in the ACC championship.
Exactly.
But this is a very important game for Kentucky. I hope they win. On the other side, we got the SEC on the house, the rivalry, the Iron Bowl, Auburn versus Alabama, 14.5. Alabama needs to win. I know it's a rivalry, but there's just nothing great in Auburn right now this year or for the last couple of years. I'm taking Alabama 14.5 points.
Yeah, I like that too. I take the 14.5 too for Alabama.
All right. Another rivalry. This is the Apple Cup. Washington versus Washington State. This is a trap match for Washington because Washington State's been struggling. Okay. Man. They've been struggling, but when it comes to a rivalry, you never know what could happen, right? Just like any other sport. Washington's come out winning over Colorado 56-14, but prior to that, I mean, they lost 4 of the last 5 games. On the other side, Washington had a close game with Oregon State. They won 22-20, but they're on the road, defeating their opponents left and right. I don't see anything different except I think 16.5 might be a little bit too much. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I mean, the way that the games are going, it's not like they had a bye week or anything like that, but I got a feeling that Washington's pressure is on. Now they're ranked number 4 going in. They need to beat up on Washington State to be legit. They don't want no excuse of having Florida State jump on top of them the following week. So they have to cover the spread.
Yeah, because honestly, in the last 2 years, these two teams have split the Apple Cup. Okay, so, even though you may think that the Huskies have the advantage, but man, these Cougars, they come to play, man. And I am one who lived in Washington, okay, because I was stationed up there. I got to see these two play in the Apple Cup in 95. Okay, and back then Washington was ranked number 22, and they won that game 33-30. Okay, so you got to understand that when it comes to these kind of rivals, because these are rivals, they play some good games, just like we talk about Oregon and Oregon State. So it could be very unpredictable, and that's what makes it college football so much fun when it comes to these kind of series. But in this game, I like Washington. I think Washington will cover that 16.5 in this one.
The last year they were at Washington State, they won 51-33. That was a lot of points that they put up there, right? However, I think on this one, I'm gonna take under 68.5. I don't think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be maybe up to 60, but I think 68. I say in the 50-point range. I really do.
Okay.
I give that. All right, so here we go. The Carolina State game, North Carolina versus NC State. I mean, North Carolina's at a loss. This is a team where they thought they had a Heisman Trophy winner, right? Drake May, and it turned out not so much. However, I'm gonna take North Carolina 3 points.
Oh, okay.
I'll take them.
I was gonna take NC State.
Ooh, I like it.
Just fun to see if they can pull out to get the upset.
Yeah, North Carolina was out of the top 25. They put NC State in there, but I'm still not trusting NC State. I mean, look, they come up with a loss against Notre Dame. They lost to Duke. They lost to Louisville. Could they do the same thing with North Carolina? I don't know. I still feel like North Carolina still have a lot to prove. I mean, they lost. It's crushing to see that they lost to Virginia, Georgia Tech.
Back to back.
Right, back to back. And then they lose to Clemson. And they barely went by Duke by 2 points.
Right.
So, yeah, it looks like the favor of NC State to win this game, but I'm going to give it to North Carolina. But then again, NC State did replace their quarterback, and that's why NC State is playing better.
Yeah, they are.
They don't have Armstrong anymore as a starting quarterback.
I guess we won't be talking about this if they would have lost to Appalachian State earlier this year. Boy, but
Oh,
hey.
look, I'm gonna say I'm looking at their quarterback right now. Who it is? Oh yeah, it's MJ Morris, and man, he's playing almost the same as Armstrong. So I don't. I mean, they say they're better, but nah, I'll take North Carolina. I really do. All right, it's fourth down, and listen, I know Joe will have the final whistle on this, but I have the final whistle now. I got it.
Oof.
And I'm gonna make up that penalty. And it's real short. All right. And again, we're talking about resumes, we're talking about win factors, head to head, and everything else. Let's not be judgmental here. Let's not base things because of injuries and stuff like that. Because, like people say, when you go back to days where Ohio State won the national championship, they did it with a third string quarterback. I think it was Cardale Jones. Okay. And he led that team and they won the championship. Congratulations. They did well. All right. They adapt, next man up, stepped in, and they did what they had to do. But it's a travesty to know that a star quarterback had a catastrophic injury and will be out for the season. And to judge that to lower the ranking, I'm talking about Florida State. I think it's unfair. And when you compare a team like Florida State and Washington, the benefit of doubt goes to Washington. Now, everyone wants to debate, and it's always about, well, Ohio State should be number one or Michigan should be number one. Slow down, because there's only one number one team. And the only number one team is the Georgia Bulldogs. They prove it to you. On the first week of college football, the committee got them at 2. And Georgia, what they do, they took the next 3 ranked opponents and smacked them around. They're number 1. Let's not forget, there are the 2-time champions. Michigan, Ohio State, they're the favorites. I don't know why. There's nothing that they've proven compared to Washington, who won 5 ranked games compared to an easy schedule like Michigan. Or you're going to base on one victory of Notre Dame, Ohio State. Come on now. Let's get it together. Let's be real about this. We're picking the best 4 teams. And the key word is resume, not eye test, resume. Who has it better? Oh, yeah, we're going to find out because the competition is going to get better during the conference championship. We're going to see how the committee is going to rank them. But please don't lecture and tell me that one's better than the other. Because in reality, there's only one number 1 and a lot of number 2s. And none of them is close to the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm OV1 with Hector. Thank you for listening to the All Four Downs podcast. Tune in coming up on the top of the hour. We have the NFL picks. And yeah, I did pick the Eagles. They flying, baby. They flying. Oh, yeah. Thank you for watching. Take care, everyone. Gotta love some football.